What is it? Watch it upstairs.
Yeah, SABC map.
Go check, you see. It looks like.
Now, let's get into South Africa's entertainment industry. We've decided to take a look at how much impact has really been affected to South Africa's brands, to certainly the industry as a whole, whether it be in print media or other forms that have certainly taken a hit. One of the first budgets to go in a time of crisis is certainly marketing. That affects so many other industries as well when it gets to media, whether it be in the form of events or just other social gatherings as well. Let's chat now to Thebe Ikalafeng, who is the founder and managing director at the brand strategy group, the company called Brand Leadership. Thebe, thank you so much for the time. It's so difficult for brands to not just make themselves unique under normal circumstances, but even in a time like this, now you have to fight a whole pandemic.
Indeed, it's...
Yeah, don't worry, we can still hear you.
I lost you.
Apologies. All right, cool. So, yeah, like we were saying, very difficult for brands to stay afloat in a time like this.
Indeed, I think you summed it up correctly that unfortunately during this time, a lot of marketing departments, the first thing that falls out is the marketing budget. And we've seen that already. And the issue is not just that the marketing budget falls, is that it has a domino effect. There's a domino effect on people, on industries which depend on marketing, like the advertising industry. And then advertising industry then follows with the media. So that's why you've seen the likes of associated media with the big brands like Cosmo disappearing, because what's happened is that now that we've been locked in, not only has the budgets gone, but we have also gone internal, and being internal, not being able to go out, we are now relying on digital media. So a lot of the money has switched from your traditional media advertising on traditional media like newspapers and all those, and a lot of it has shifted to digital.
Yeah, should brands have not already been looking at that strategy anyway? I mean, I don't know when was the last time I was in a retail store to buy a sneaker, but I've actually gotten the last at least 5 pairs of sneakers off the internet alone. So should that have not been a strategy at least for the last 5 years or so?
Well, you know, we've been saying for the last 5 to 7 years that we shouldn't have a digital strategy. We should have a strategy for the digital age. So a lot of the companies, unfortunately, were caught off guard, where they should have been prepared for this time, not necessarily for the pandemic or for the crisis, but should have been prepared for the way of the future. Because irrespective of what happens, we are no longer going to have the same type of industry coming out of COVID. Coming out of COVID, we're going to have a much different media industry, much different meeting industry, because it's not just the media, it's events have been affected. You see the stock of the subscribers for channels like Zoom, before and GoToMeeting, we've all switched onto digital. So the problem is actually not the pandemic. The problem is not the companies which are cutting on marketing. The problem is that as marketers, we have been caught with our pants down.
Yeah, and look, it certainly does mean we end up having interviews or meetings like we're having right now via Skype, right? And technology can sometimes fail you here and there. But nonetheless, do you reckon that, you know, as you said, the industry is going to change, right? So after this, you kind of have to be a brand that embraces this change, and you never waste a good crisis. So you see other brands coming to the fore?
Well, Definitely the brands which are going to come to the fore are going to be those brands which are in tune with the times that we are in. There's definitely going to be the brands which are digitally oriented. And you've seen it. So every time now you go onto the internet, whether you're reading your favorite newspaper, they will ask you, the first question ask you, do you want to subscribe? Say no, we move away from the past and move into the future. It's going to change it. It's going to introduce new players. So as the Cosmos and all those die offline, online, certainly there's going to be a complete new growth in new media channels.
Yeah. How do you take advantage of a crisis like this, though, outside of just the online space? I mean, yes, we know that, but you also have to create a space where you are still unique. And if you're all online, I can just Google whoever I want to. But how do you ensure that you're still unique in the midst of all of this?
It's going to be in the experience. It's going to be in how easy it is to interact and to engage with the platform. It's going to be the richness of the engagement when I get online. I mean, you can even see now how easy it is to for everybody to say, oh, just send me a Zoom link, because it's just as simple as a Zoom link. But also, if you look at, for example, there's multiple brands in that space. Let's just look at that space. For example, you've got Zoom, you've got GoToMeeting, you've got Google Hangout, you've got Microsoft Teams. When you go on the Zoom platform, you can brand the platform, you can customize it, you can do a whole lot of things on the channel. When you go to others, others are still trying to catch up. You know, the Googles of the world, as big as they are trying to catch up in customizing their brands or their offerings to be able to do a lot of the things that event planners or meeting people want to be able to do. Because I no longer want to see it as just a generic or white label. I want to be able to now see it as my brand, my platform. So to be unique, you have to give the power to the consumers, which is the era that we live in anyway. And giving the power to the consumers is enabling them to use the platform to do what they want with it.
Yeah, it actually just reminds me of WhatsApp right now. Actually, if you get an updated version of WhatsApp, you can actually now have a video call with more than just the previous 3 additional people. So now there's more people on it because they realize the need for this communication device to actually do just that little bit more. The importance then of things like spectrum, things like additional internet quality as well, critical and important at a time like this also, right?
The big challenge that we are facing now, is going to be connectivity, is going to be data. I think luckily in South Africa, for example, the Competition Commission has stepped in and said to the Vodacoms and to the MTNs, you need to reduce your data cost by 30 to 50% to enable a lot more people to participate, to use technology for their benefit. So yes, the brands have to do a lot more. The players have to do a lot more. Hand the power back to the consumers. The consumers are now in charge. We're in charge. Your job is just as a facilitator. But unlike in the past, where you are much more static, like a newspaper or like a magazine, in this digital era, you have to be much more fluid and much more flexible.
Yeah. Look, Thebe, always great chatting to you. Hopefully we can do this again. Thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. Thebe Ikalafeng is founder and managing director then at Brand Strategy Company. That's Brand Leadership then, helping us unpack that one. Now,